Well,
Quiet,
Jammer,
buddy.
you appear to be ill. That sucks.
Yeah, I am quite ill.
Lucas was home sick for a couple of days, and then he just called trying to get out of school again. But it's like he's fine. He needs to be in school. He's already missed 7 days this year for illness. But Nick, you're just cold, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I don't have any heat right now.
Times.
And Jonesy is tired.
Yeah, we're great. We're at the top of our game right now.
We're all just awesome, and then you got the brain damaged half sack guy over here. So
Oliver, I will kill you.
Yeah, I just woke up from a nap.
Ooh, cat
What the
nap.
hell?
Right.
Okay, we're good.
That's rough. Wait, I can't find.
What you missing?
So you're definitely here. The microphone isn't showing up.
You might be talking into your because I don't hear any taps.
Don't hear any taps.
Yeah, they're not showing. It's not showing up. It's weird.
Did you try turning it off and on again? Unplugging it?
No. Oh, I know what it is, you motherfucker.
I did no such thing.
So I updated the MacBook, and it has this new thing where it wants you to approve every device you plug in every time, which is really very annoying.
Like Windows used to do with the UAC when XP first came out.
Yeah, but now the volume is... What the f***?
So I just got some AirPods recently.
Oh yeah, how are those?
Oh, they're great. I didn't realize that Bluetooth technology was amazing. So like I used to have a pair of Bose headphones that were Bluetooth as well as another pair, so whatever. But the Bluetooth on the AirPods is like dynamic. It's like it reads my mind at where I want it, what device I want to go on. So usually what I'd have to do is I have to disconnect one and then connect it to another one if I want it like on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
Now, literally, I'm just like, I want to start playing my phone. Oh, I should turn on the Bluetooth, and then it's already playing in my ears from my phone. I'm like, oh, cool. And then I switch to my freaking computer, and it just almost automatically does it without me even having to do anything. It's crazy.
The last thing you're supposed to say is, it just works.
Yeah. And
You figure your mic
really
out,
nice.
Jonesy?
I think so. How do I sound?
Sounds clearer.
Sound better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right, Jammer, let's hear, old man, how much you love new technology.
AirPods, straight out of 2017.
You guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Hello and welcome to Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast, the premier flagship and international podcast of LRM Online. Man, you sound bassy.
You do. That's why earlier when your microphone wasn't hooked up properly, you sounded so bassy, and I couldn't understand a word you were saying. Reminded me of my friend. He used to He used to play his music, his rap music, at really low volume but really high bass, and it was the most obnoxious thing I've ever heard. I hate it. Hate it.
I need to pull up some Barry White lyrics. Anyway, hello and welcome to Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast, premier flagship and international podcast of LRM Online and the Genre-Verse Podcast Network. I'm your host, Brandon Jones. Man, it sounds good. With me this week is Joseph J. Medina and Nicholas Dahl. Gents, what's going on?
Yo, it's cold. I don't
I'm
have any
sick
heat.
with the man flu.
The man flu.
You motherfuckers look pathetic.
The man flu is this thing. I didn't realize.
And with us as
Universal
always
thing.
is Kyle Malone on the ones and twos, producing this great show.
I like how you just talked over me as if I didn't matter. Like,
What's the man flu?
the hell?
It's a real thing, you said.
the man flu is basically men who over-exaggerate how sick they feel to their wives when they're sick.
Oh, that's just because women can feel more pain or deal with more pain. Or
They could tolerate more pain.
They don't
yeah.
feel more pain. They tolerate.
They tolerate.
They
more
feel
pain.
more emotional pain. Let's be just
True that.
generalize about women in an audience we barely have.
It's a good
Look
idea.
at the stats. It ain't a lie.
Well, I'll just say the channel stats are nearly 10% female.
Oh,
Yeah,
But,
see? There you go.
1 in 10 LRMers.
Your guys is a little less than that.
No.
Yeah.
Only
You
when
can be
Danny's
less
on.
I
with
feel like
Danny
'cause
gone
anime-
today. Yeah.
Anime has a higher percentage of
Oh,
female
yeah.
viewers.
Oh yeah,
than the stuff that we cover.
and certain anime that we cover will end up with like nearly 30% female
Dang.
audience, which is
Yeah, so you,
very
you
cool.
gotta drag that out a little more, Kyle. You'd be like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And to be
yeah.
fair,
Just make it sound really creepy, Jonesy.
AVR does have the only female
Oh,
that shows up for
yeah.
regular
On the
podcasts.
regular,
So,
that's
yeah.
true.
So,
That probably helps.
We used to have one. Nick scared her away.
Yeah, she got scared and ran off.
Like he was a barbarian or something like that. Anyway, on this week's show, we're going to be having a conversation about the film Barbarian, plus some other news. One of the things I didn't get to talk to you, gents, about was the order that you want to do this. I kind of like doing the movie review first. But what do you guys
Kyle's
think?
like, and I'm gonna go ahead and rearrange everything in this goddamn thing.
I'm cool
No.
with it.
I'm cool with it
It
too.
worked last week.
yeah, do it. That was as the numbers guy. That was definitely the most listened to chapter of your previous episode.
There we go. Chapter 1, film review. You guys ready? Would you like to do it?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. So this is, of course, Justin Long's new film, Barbarian. Man, that's the way my voice sounds right
That's what I just love.
I love
Also,
it.
the advertising they did in this one, where literally the trailer is Justin Long's new movie, I think, or Justin Long's new film, or something along the lines of that.
And I
That's
feel
like
like
the
that
title on YouTube.
spoils the I don't know. I felt like I didn't want to know that watching the movie.
That's fine.
now. You don't want to know anything going
No,
in.
because
And
like
I will
we'll
say,
talk about that.
yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. And I do agree. So one of the things that we had talked about when we did see the trailer, Nick Dahl astutely pointed out, like, hey, I was told I don't want to hear anything. I want to know anything. I don't want to know anything about this film. I think that's probably accurate. I think this is a film that consistently changes over time. And any point you try and jump in and explain it, you might end up inadvertently spoiling something about the film. But that said, I'm getting a little bit too much ahead of myself. This film, Barbarian, it came out this week. Actually, not this week. A couple of weeks ago, like last month.
At
months
theaters.
ago?
Yeah.
Yeah,
In
relatively
theaters, but
quickly.
it just came out in streaming.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And everyone's
this is-
discovering it on HBO Max now.
It's a weird film in that way. I don't think I've ever seen. I feel like the first time I'd ever heard of it was the first time we discussed it, and the next thing I knew, it was in theaters, and now it's at home to watch. Which, good for me. I'm happy, and I think you will be too. So anyway, this film, it came out this year. The synopsis reads as follows: a young woman discovers the rental home she booked is already occupied by a stranger. Against her better judgment, she decides to spend the night, but soon discovers there's a lot more to fear than just an unexpected house guest. This film was released on September 9th, 2002. It was directed by Zach Kreger.
Of the whitest kids you know.
Of the whitest kids you know. It stars Bill Skarsgård, Georgina Campbell, and, of course, Justin Long, which we're not supposed to say, right? Is that a secret? Is that supposed to be a secret?
It's not a secret. It's in
Trailer's
all the
called
advertising.
Justin
Not a
Long.
secret.
It's in
Trailer.
all the advertising.
I'm just going by
It's-
what Nick said. Are we not supposed to say it? We're supposed.
No, it's fine.
Okay. All right. So how do you guys want to do it? Do you want to
I mean, let's
actually
get some
spoil the film and
spoiler-
have a discussion?
Let's start with spoiler-free reactions and then dive into spoiler reactions.
All right. So this film currently sits at a 92% with the critics on Rotten Tomatoes and a 70% with the audience. Man, we just can't find a way to all get along.
Coexist.
But that said, gentlemen, what do you all think non-spoiler impressions of Barbarian? Nick Dahl, let's start with you.
There's definitely some stuff later when you think about it that is just kind of wonky completely. But I really, really, really enjoyed it moment to moment. And I was very happy we watched it, and I would definitely recommend it. I don't want to say too much about the plot, so that's kind of going to be my little review. I definitely recommend it. Unlike Hellraiser, to anyone. Oh, I mean, I wouldn't recommend it to people who really don't like horror movies.
No,
Like
not
my
everyone.
roommate, my roommate was gonna watch it with me. He's like, "Is it scary?" I'm like, Probably. He's like, yeah, I'm going to bed instead. I don't want to have nightmares tonight. But yeah.
Okay. Jammer, what did you think?
To me, this plays out as more of like a creepy thriller. There aren't that many jump scares. There's like 3, maybe 2. So I don't consider it that scary. It's one of those movies that I think is just feels more like a very taut, well-directed thriller that really displays the skills of the director and the actors more than anything. As Nick said, it is a bit flawed in the plot, in that if you think about it too hard, it kind of folds in on itself. And I have some questions that I would like to discuss about that. But it's definitely still watching moment to moment. It's kind of like a master class on how to do tension. But still not a perfect movie, but still a lot of fun. If you like horror movies that aren't really like scary, but kind of more thriller-esque, I think this is a good one for you. Don't get me wrong, there are some like quote unquote horrific things in it, but I still wouldn't consider it like The Conjuring or that type of scary movie where it's just very much like your stereotypical horror. So yeah, I'm trying to think of what to compare it to. I almost compare it to like The Descent in a way, where it's kind of a thriller. Yes, it has some scary moments, but it just kind of becomes about survival.
I would actually compare the tension, which we'll get into more, to Scream, but we can talk about that later. The way they use tension.
Interesting.
Yeah, I definitely did think of Scream while I was watching this movie at some point. Well, I'll explain why.
Okay.
In a bit.
2 ways actually made me think of Scream, but yeah, we'll get to that in spoilers.
I agree with you all overall. This movie was... I can't remember where I was in the film. I was like, is this a scary movie? Is this a horror movie? And I, instead of enjoying it, I was kind of out of it for a moment, trying to figure out how I would classify this film. I do agree with the consensus that it is best to go into this film knowing almost as little as possible about it. But I think that it was fun. I really enjoyed the actors in the film. I loved the way it was shot. There are some, I don't know if I want to call them unique, because I've seen a lot of these techniques before, but at Jammer, I think you used the word like masterclass. Like they are used to great effect here in this film. And so that was a lot of fun. And I remember at some point I did think like, oh yeah, this is way better than Hellraiser. And I get it.
Oh yeah.
Different horror movies can exist on their own, right? They don't necessarily have to be compared, but it's hard in October. This is the last film that we're going to watch that is a quote unquote horror movie before Halloween actually occurs. And it was hard to stop my mind from going in, but I thought that this is really good in that regard. So I would definitely recommend it to folks. So yeah, those are my non-spoiler impressions of this film.
It's worth mentioning also, I'm not a big horror fan, and I really like the movie. Kind of like how in a way, like I compare it, it's not quite comparable, but almost like in the first Saw, how it's not really scary. It kind of just, like I said, it's thriller horror, but kind of leans more into the thriller than the horror, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're right. It definitely walks the line. You're like, I don't quite know where. Yeah, I enjoyed it for that. You guys would like to get into spoilers?
Trying to think if there's anything else that we want to say. Yeah, I definitely would recommend it. As long as you're okay with having some horrific things portrayed, even if it's not technically scary to me, it's pretty like, there are a lot of moments where you're like, yeah, I would not do that. Oh, also characters also do make very stupid decisions in this movie, I will say.
Holy shit. I remember. Yeah. Let's just get into spoilers.
Okay.
All right. So the lead character in this film, Tess, there were a couple of times as this movie was going where I'm like, I feel like I am going to lose sympathy for whatever horrible things happen to this person at this moment right here.
Can I guess the moments?
Are there a few? Okay, yeah, let's hear it. You go.
So I think the moment where you lost it was the moment where she went downstairs after Keith.
Yep. So that was one.
Yep. That was one. I mean, the one where she said nope and then continued to go into it. That was probably another.
I wrote that down.
Went back,
nope.
And then went back for Justin Long.
Yeah. So there were a couple of those. And I'm just like, man.
I think the worst one, because the other ones I could justify, like the first one where she said nope and then went into it, not really. But like the second one where she went in after Keith, literally, because in that situation where she went after Keith, she could have fucking left and then gotten the police and had them help. She should have done that. And the other ones, she was more trapped. And then also I understand her general empathic nature and desire to do good. I could see that. Even if it's not the best thing to do for self-preservation, I could see that. And I wouldn't call it stupid. I would just call it overly altruistic.
I saw there was a moment when after the homeless person chases her into the house and she's like, oh my God, this person's going to get me. Da, da, da. And then the next thing, like she goes to pee after that. And I'm just like,
I like that part though, with the homeless guy where it's like, that made me think of Get Out, where she thinks that guy's the threat, but it's like someone warning her, like, don't go in that house.
I mean, I get that part, but I guess my feelings of how scared are you or how much of a threat do you think there is? I don't know.
And why couldn't the homeless man yell out, there's a monster in the house. You need to get out of the house, or at least explain it through the door.
Super easy, barely an inconvenience.
Yeah, and that was one of the hard things, right? Where it's like, well, the answer is because we wouldn't have a movie.
Yeah, and there was a lot of those where even though I was just like, this is stupid, but I'm really curious, so let's just keep going.
Well, I thought one of her dumbest decisions when you're still on the, like, if you don't know about the Justin Long part at all, you just think it's a movie about her and this guy, and that's the tension they're building is like, he's like, follow, like, oh no, you think he's like screaming for fake help. And the whole idea is this is a setup and he murdered, like, that's the movie you think you're getting.
Wait, hold on a second. No, I didn't understand at all what you just said. Can you?
So he's saying, like, why is she standing at the top of the stairs? We can hear him, help me, please help me. And before Justin Long even shows up.
Yeah, like that first half of the movie. Like, I that's why I wish I didn't know about Justin Long, was because you think it's that's going to be, the description Jonesy read, that without knowing about the Justin Long part, like, oh, that's going to be the horror movie. Like, when is he? And that's where like the Scream type tension comes in, where Scream is always faking you out. This movie fakes you out the entire first half until the monster.
I would almost compare it more to Psycho.
Well, so let me qualify why I brought up Scream. I thought the Bill Skarsgård character Keith did a good job. While I did not think that he was the main threat, the film definitely wanted you to think that. And I do see elements of Psycho, what you're talking about, Jammer. But the phrase that I came up with as I watched it was they drew Barry Mortis, where you either think this person, either this person is going to be in the film or some sort of main character, and all of a sudden he's just gone, right? And that's what jumped to mind. But I think that the Psycho analogy is a good one as well.
They drew Barry Mortis. What does that mean?
Where
Drew Barrymore. Gotcha. Sorry, I thought Drew Barry is the second word, Mortis as in rigor mortis, and I got really confused.
The thing I was trying to say, I think her first stupid decision was when she's suspicious of him. She has his name and everything, and she never like looks him up on social media. Like, that's why I figured she took the picture of his ID when she didn't trust him. It's like, oh, let me look up to make sure this guy. She never looks him up. That was the first stupid thing I thought she did when she thought he was
just leering at him in a coffee shop strangely.
Yeah. So by then she believes that he's a musical artist and stuff, which she also never looks up.
Fair.
Were you about to say,
Jonesy? Yeah. You were talking about Psycho.
Oh no, I think that you're right. Like, he does come off Norman Batesy. And I liked that element. You're like, can I trust this guy? Can I not trust this guy? But I liked that the film did a good job of not letting you rest. Right? They never made it very clear up until the moment he's no longer in the movie that this guy can or cannot be trusted. Like, oh, I guess we could have trusted him.
Yeah. And then also Psycho, in terms of how it's structured, how like the first third is like a short almost of the movie. And then you kind of go into like the secondary, who we think is going to be the protagonist, but still he's not, but we feel like he's going to be the protagonist.
Well, that's what was interesting too, is that I thought they drew Barry Mortis and that they killed off I saw her as the protagonist. And because, you're playing it from her angle, like, oh, can I trust this guy? Can I not trust this guy? So I thought they killed her off, but then it was fun to see that she was still the main character. 'Cause I just assumed they both got slaughtered in that hallway, and Justin Long would go down there and just find the monster. Yeah.
And that's why the Psycho comparison, because literally the first third of Psycho, you're following this main character and then she gets killed. And then you follow another character for the rest of the movie as the main character, which is what I thought they did. Because, I thought she died too. I remember the whole time thinking, I really liked her. I hope she is still alive. And then she was. And I was like, yes, she's still alive. And she's actually the main character.
She's just homelandering it, just sucking on that teat.
And before we get to the sucking on the teat part, I really enjoyed the teasing out of Justin Long's character. So I've enjoyed Justin Long in films like Drag Me to Hell and Jeepers Creepers and things of that nature. This was a very never saw it. Well, this is a very unlikable character, but it is fun to watch him develop as such. And one of the things I really liked about it was I was curious whether or not the film was going to give us any kind of ambiguity about the nature of his character. So there's a part in the film where they're like, hey, he may or may not have sexually assaulted someone. And as you're watching it, it's hard not to sit in modern times and think like, oh, are they going to sit on the fence about this? Or how are they going to play this off? And they're like, no, this dude's a piece of shit. Mm-hmm. And they're almost like, hey, when he gets killed, I don't want you to feel any kind of compunction about what happened. So like, no, this guy's a piece of shit.
They kind of play that off a couple times too. Like at that part where he connects taking responsibility. I don't remember if that was near the top of the tower or at a different point. It was before that. And it's just like, oh, character arc coming. And then he fucking tries to kill the woman. It's just like, oh, you're a piece of shit.
I thought that was great too, because the scene you're talking about, and what was shitty about that, right, is the homeless black man's like, hey, I can save you guys. I can, you guys do this, do that. Well, how do you know she can't get in here? This bitch ain't never been in it.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. Once he's like 15 years, I'm like, oh, this is like the Sam Jackson moment in Deep Blue
15 years in one day.
And then rips off the arm. And
I have the subtitle I love, which was Andre choking.
Or you watched it with subtitles.
So going back, one thing I will think probably the weakest directed part of the movie was that scene I mentioned where he throws her off the tower. Because it makes no sense physically.
Yeah, there's no way she should have been able to fall faster.
Well, not only that, but there's this really wide open space. I can buy that because I can say like she pushed herself off and is superhuman and can go faster because she pushed off of something.
Aerodynamic.
Whatever.
That's a short fall.
That's not aerodynamic at all, Nick.
Well, like, when Spider-Man's always like catching up to the chick where he's like diving.
Well, because you have to push off as opposed to free falling. So you get a little bit of extra initial speed.
Okay, I'll give
that's
that
not my point. My point is that it's this wide open space, and then he kind of just goes, and then somehow she was in the middle, I think, at the time.
That was a weird cut.
Wasn't very close to the edge, and is able to push her off, and then flip her over railings after just going, and it made no sense physically. And it kind of took me out of it, but I was like, whatever, because I got confused.
Also edited weird. That
because it didn't physically make sense. Edits. That's why it didn't physically make sense. It was the director being like, just
we're here. We're at the
roll
end.
with it. Just roll with it. Yeah.
I thought some of the weaknesses were like, when I'm watching, I'm like, hell yeah. Then you think about the lore later, and you're like, did we need all this? Like cutting back to the guy, which was a really colorful scene. He's like taking in women, or even like the story the homeless man gives, which I assume is just him, like building upon legend, where he's like, then those babies had babies, and then those babies had babies, and it was a copy of a copy.
We get the multiplicity explanation.
Yeah, how does that make sense? How does
it doesn't make sense? That's why I think it's just legend. I think it's just
superhuman.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't make it.
Well, it doesn't make them superhuman, but it's just the idea that they don't
Inbred.
develop properly. Yeah,
but even then, there's not enough time for her to be that age and to go through that many, especially if the serial kill, because they work in the serial killer angle, which is what I'm talking about. It's kind of unnecessary, and like
why?
And because, well, I mean, I don't know, just when they work him in, the amount he's aged, like he's probably aged 40 years, maybe less, and they still have a copy of a copy of a copy. Like how many? That's what doesn't make any sense.
He's having sex with them, and they get born. He's probably having sex with them at young age, like 10 to 12. So that could be 3 or 4 generation
Wow,
at that
Nick.
point.
Wow.
I thought he was having the babies have babies.
No,
And
I mean
then
they
the-
are. They're like girls.
Yeah.
They're little girls, and they just hit puberty. The second they hit puberty, he gets them pregnant.
I thought he was
And it
breeding male
proliferates.
babies, and I guess that wouldn't make any sense. Anyway, yeah.
I can't
Just
believe
the
I
whole
didn't
serial-
have having
What's
to
happening,
explain rapist
Cold.
logic to a friend on my 2022 bingo card.
Hey, I had it on mine. That was getting explained by Jam.
Yeah, like it doesn't make
off.
sense. Like, what do you mean it doesn't make any sense? What are you talking about?
I was looking at it a different way. I don't know.
I think
It
you're
just
thinking
felt
about like, well, if they're all 25 when they have kids, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
So yeah,
because
anyway.
she seemed pretty old too. I guess it's hard to tell because she's
And
like,
also, who knows how much the inbreeding made her and living underground 100%
Yeah.
of the time and many other
And I
factors.
think that's this conceit, right? That whole idea. She's been living underground her entire life. She's multiplicity baby, and all those things together made her that. There are multiple cages down there, so that's the other thing. We don't know where these
Exactly.
other kids are.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, so
Who
that's
knows
kind of
what they were doing
interesting.
down there? It's kind of like a lot of mystery still. Now here's the biggest
Yeah.
mystery that was never explained. How are there two people booked at the same time?
they were two different.
Because there
animals.
were two different agencies. Yeah,
Why were there two different agencies?
Oh, that's how they
And how
explained
because
come
they
it.
one
double
agency-
booked them to make money.
But how come they said we didn't have anyone coming for 2 weeks? What's that about?
So one of them is Airbnb. The other one is
Wow, I'd never heard of this even.
a different
real.
I think it was some other made up application, and I think the other one was just some mortgage company, or not mortgage, some
See what I assumed,
property management
and this is
company.
what I thought. I thought the property management company would be responsible for putting it on Airbnb.
Yeah, probably.
So
And
Maybe they
so
intentionally
why weren't they?
overbooked it, is what he's saying, and to make double the
Yeah.
money.
Oh,
it
gotcha.
is possible that it just some of that stuff is just on autopilot, and they
Mhm.
just don't know.
Plus, this property
Mhm.
company is apparently in Colorado, even though this is Detroit, because they say the phone number. They're like 303. I'm like, oh, is this movie set in Denver? And then no, it's set in Detroit. That's our area code because she
I don't
does say
know.
the phone number.
He goes there, right? He physically
Wow,
goes
Nick
there.
just outed our location to everybody. Nice.
We've discussed
stupid.
Colorado before. I never said we were there. I just said Colorado.
You're
is
like, we're
303.
303. We're at this exact freaking district and this
Well,
exact
actually, no.
street.
303 is the old one.
I don't, Nick,
Well, I had
stop.
303.
Stop, Nick.
Everyone was like, I don't know.
Stop.
No, I'm just saying that was a weird detail because I'm like, oh, the proper. I thought it was set in Colorado and then it's set in Detroit.
I will say
and I'm
it's
like, so
weirder
the
that you
property
know that
manager's
than it
there?
is that they did that.
Well, it's like when it doesn't bother me in this, but it's like when I was obsessed over the Mitchell and the Machines.
Mitchell's versus the Machines. Yeah.
Well, not
And
that
the palm
didn't
trees.
frustrate me here. It's just I noticed it. Like, oh, we're gonna have a Colorado movie because they said the Colorado, like
Oh my
whatever they
God,
call
that
that
shit
part of the
again.
phone number. No, but it doesn't bother me here. I just noticed it.
All right.
But it makes sense that they would have the
Um,
agency somewhere else. Talk about negligent, though. They didn't take any
Yeah.
responsibility. They hung up on him when they mid-call.
Well,
Yeah,
I
'cause
bought
he's a
their
rapist.
explanation. I bought their
I don't think they
explanation
knew
for
that.
like we don't send
Huh?
anyone in until the next person. Like I
No,
bought
I get
that.
that.
Wait a minute.
They were
Wait a minute. You're saying that in 2022, somebody that doesn't know all of the facts about something but reads an article on a Hollywood Reporter.
But we didn't get any
would not feel-
indication that they knew he was a rapist.
I
Did we?
think that is the indication. I
Oh,
think
I
Everyone
thought it
did
was
at that
rude
point.
I didn't
Yeah.
notice that. I
The
thought
lady
she
you
was
picked
just.
the
I
keys
thought it was
up
just
from,
bad.
like everyone.
I thought it was just bad customer service.
No, I got the impression that because he's in the airport, right? And he's like, oh, fuck,
Yeah.
when the article comes out. And so my impression of like every interaction he has after that is a product of like, yeah, we know who you are.
Interesting. I didn't put that together.
It's also possible that that's not true, right? So I think she said, what's your name when he shows up, and he says what his name is. And so it could be one of two things. Either it's bad customer service, like you said. Also, after he says his name, because she's like, who are you? After that is when she's actually super rude to him.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I
Because
forgot
she was kind of
yeah.
indifferent when she was like, oh, yeah, she said you'd be coming. Not rude, right? Just kind of weird.
Yeah.
But then on the phone, she's like, fuck you.
Hmm.
So
And
I
then
don't know.
I forgot to mention this earlier when you were talking about all the Justin Long horror movies. Someone on Twitter is like, I love having Justin Long as like the new Scream Queen. Like he's in all these horror
Yeah.
movies where he's like the victim. But yeah, I was gonna ask. I wrote down like I actually took notes like Jonesy watching this, and I had some questions to ask that were then negated. Like when the movie's suddenly about him, I was gonna be like, oh, did you guys feel any like sympathy for him? And then suddenly, the farther you go through it, the more you're like, no, it's all the way to the end. He's an asshole. Like he's telling his friend, like at the end, he ends up pushing her over the side. But when you think it's just about him and everyone else is dead, I'm like, oh, do you even feel for this guy? But then he does more asshole stuff. Like at first I was like, it's pretty unrealistic that he's not afraid of the downstairs space. He's just measuring it. And I'm like, oh no, he's just a greedy, conceited.
You know why? Because he's a monster. He's a monster. That's why he's
no. He's the real barbarian. Yeah.
And so that was one question. Who did you think the barbarian was? And then 2, did you end up feeling bad for the creature, is what my subtitles called her?
I think the barbarian is the rapist.
Which one?
I thought it was just.
Sorry, you're right. The guy who held
which rapist?
Women in the dungeon.
Oh,
I think it could be any of them, either of them.
I thought it was almost like like based on the opening. Like if you read the synopsis, which is the same on HBO Max as what you said, where it's like a lady checks into Airbnb, there's already a guy there. I almost thought Barbarian could literally just be a title to set you up in that mindset that Pennywise, I'm spacing the
Pennywise
actor's
is going to kill her.
Yeah, like he's the barbarian.
Bill Skarsgård.
Like especially like with the logo or whatever, or the poster, or maybe it has like her standing in like a doorway. Like just like kind of like just a woman standing in a doorway and you can't see who it is and there's like all red behind her.
I mean,
I lost the thread of what you were saying.
I don't know either, but I will say this. I think that Airbnb is the real monster because they fucking terrible. I hate Airbnb. They're the barbarians.
I like Airbnb. I use it a lot. I probably should.
Fuck them. Actually, I have a longer story, but we could talk about that offline. Okay. What all else do you all have to say about this film? I thought it was really good.
What other questions
would you all like to do? Yeah, I had no questions.
No, Nick.
He said they got negated.
They all got negated. All the questions.
They got negated.
Yeah. Because one of the questions I wrote down was like, "Do we ever feel for Justin Long?" And then it was like, "No, we don't."
Do we think those scenes, those flashbacks, take away, or the over explanation takes away from the movie?
I know. I kind of like them.
Do the flashbacks add to it, do you think?
For me, they were unnecessary filler that I still liked.
I did like
it was like shot. It was like notes in the margin of a film, and it didn't come at a weird spot. It didn't take me out of the film. It was like, oh, that's interesting. And it kind of made the scene where Justin Long stumbles on him later a little bit more impactful because you saw the one woman that it happened to, but then in the den, you see all of the videotapes. And so your mind starts multiplying that one scene again and again and again and again. And I liked that from a filmmaking perspective where you could take that one microcosm of a moment and just expand it out for all of those tapes. And it was pretty horrific. And the names of those tapes, like Irish accent, redhead in the gas station, plus there were some other names in there. Like, oh my God, this is the fucking worst.
And I like what they showed with him. Like they didn't have to show the whole abduction. They show him going in, unlocking the window. He's going to come in later. And then we don't need to see any more flashbacks to him.
You know what's going to happen.
I mean, without having to see. Like,
I like
because there's more tension there. Because you're like, is he going to grab her while he's there? And then there's tension when he gets lots of good fake tension, as Jam was saying. Like then he gets the gun. You're like, oh, is he going to shoot Justin Long? Then he blows his own head off. It's just and just the full first half of the film, kind of the Scream thing I was talking about, where it's like, Scream is the master franchise of like, oh, when is there going to be a jump scare? Like, you open the fridge. Is the ghost face going to be behind the fridge when you close it? Oh, there's nothing there. But this whole first half of this movie was like, oh, is this going to be is this when he grabs her? If Bill Skarsgård's the bad guy, is this going to be the time he fakes her out with the scream? Until you see the monster, there isn't an actual scare in the movie.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Poor Jackie Earle Haley, though. That guy.
Typecast.
So creepy. Typecast.
Oh, you mean
As
Skarsgård?
Nice to Jackie
No.
Earl Haley. The guy.
Is that? I don't think that was him.
Was he? He wasn't in this movie.
Yeah, it was.
That's not him.
No, that's not him.
No, that's not him.
Shit,
That's not him.
I thought it was him. Are you sure?
I thought because
Jesus
I kind
Christ,
of
you
agreed
racist
with
motherfucker.
it really worked after it to have Bill Skarsgård be the guy in the house.
That wasn't
I
him.
felt-
Hold on a second.
No,
Like,
that's
I thought
not.
that
I
was
keep telling you,
really
no,
good
that's not
casting.
him.
It's not. It's not.
It's
him.
Richard Brake. If you guys are talking about
Oh
Frank,
yeah, that guy too. Yep, Richard Brake.
Yeah, he is typecast. When I saw him in the flashback, I'm like, yeah, he's
They
a
look
serial
so-
killer.
I love that. Like, yeah, him too.
But I
Well,
like. I did
I
like.
do confuse those two pretty frequently, which is weird.
And like this kind of stuff I was thinking about later, where I'm like, oh, maybe they mashed in too much, maybe they didn't. I do like there's a serial killer story within this. There's a monster film. There's like, do I trust this other man? Like, do I drink the tea? Do I drink like is he being too aggressive?
Don't you drink that
Like,
tea?
Yeah, she should have. There's nothing been fine. It would have warmed her up. But
You're right, because that was the problem. She wasn't.
like
warm enough
after
for the
watching
movie.
Dahmer like twice, it's just like
Ew, Jesus Christ.
I watch every show a second time with my roommate if I watched it, if I liked it. So
No,
good show, by
no.
the way.
No, thanks.
It made me more suspicious of the first like half of this movie or third. I think it's more of a half than a third. With
How could it make you more suspicious? The film literally like.
well,
the
I mean, because
music
I just
cues and
yeah, well, just because he drugs people all the time. So the minute there's mention of tea, I thought about more that. I mean, I would have thought
Who?
that, but I'm like, oh,
Who
I
drugs
just watched
people?
Jeffrey
Dahmer.
Dahmer.
Yeah, like
Oh,
every time
gotcha.
there's a drink, he's offering someone. So like, I mean, you still get suspicious of that as like a woman being offered tea, but I was sure that eventually, like even the wine, you can add. I mean, he had some, but you can definitely add drugs and poison to wine. You inject it in the top, and then you melt the top a little bit. You don't even have to melt the top. I've seen this in another movie. You can inject poison or whatever into wine without opening it, depending on if it has like one of those rubber tops or not, or even just through a cork.
Yes.
So
This
but then when
is
he
all
drank
true.
it, I'm like, oh, the wine's fine. And she
But
was
you could
smart
also
there.
put it
She
in the
waited
glass.
till he drank the wine. Yeah. Rub something on the rim of the glass.
Yeah. I'll
Good
rub
for
your
him
glass, baby.
getting his head smashed in instead of killing her.
I just had this awful image of someone rubbing like a poison dart frog along the inside of a wine glass.
That's probably the least effective way to do it, especially in
Poor
Detroit.
frog. Poor frog. Man, oh, this is the last thing I'm going to say about this movie. I loved when she is at the house and she turns around in the rain and starts to like look around and sees darkness, right? You can see the silhouettes of other houses, but
Yeah.
they're all completely dark. And when the daylight comes, you
That
can
was a
see
great
why, 'cause
reveal.
the entire neighborhood is just dilapidated. And the person that she wants to work for is like, you're where? Why are you there? What's going on?
She's not even, she doesn't know there's a monster in the basement or anything.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I really liked the setting as a character type
Mhm.
thing here. So yeah, I
it's
like that.
nice house. And even like they foreshadow that in the flashback scene where it's like, oh, this neighborhood's going to shit. You're not selling your place. It's like, I ain't going nowhere.
I ain't going nowhere.
He's like, the neighborhood's going
Where
to
you
shit because
going?
of me. Because
Where you
of
going?
me.
Nowhere.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Good
What letter
movie.
would you guys give this?
I think I give it
A
a B
minus.
plus.
B plus and an A minus?
Mm-hmm. Pretty close.
Very well directed, very well made. Too many
I was surprised
plot.
he was
Hold
that
on,
good.
Nick, I'm talking. Too many plot contrivances
Ungawa!
for my taste. Sorry, Nick, you can go now.
I was just surprised it's from Zach Krieger. I guess I don't know if this is his first movie or if he directed House Bunny, which is the comedy him and Trevor Moore were in. Not House Bunny.
You know how
The
we
one
can
where-
look that up.
Playboy is, I don't know, the one where he has to go. Well, I only saw a test screening of him and his friend go to the Playboy Mansion. Of course, he lost his friend.
So
Trevor
he
Moore
directed-
died. Zach Krieger.
I
And
know
in
who
fact,
he
he
is.
plays two characters. He's the voice on the phone when they're like, "Oh, I got bad news for you, man." Like when they have like the woman and the guy on the phone at the beginning, and then he's the best friend who they never show from the front at the bar, where he's like, "So, like, tell me what you did, man."
Level with
So-
me, man. Level with me.
Yeah.
Man.
So,
So
like, well,
he
you know, I may
directed-
have done something.
He directed Miss March, which I
That's
think
the one I was thinking of.
he directed episodes of The Whitest Kids You Know. He directed Civil War on Drugs,
which is
It's
their film. And otherwise, kids,
okay,
like
their movie. more sketches, TV shows, and then Barbarian. So
Yeah.
it's
All right.
third, I guess.
Well, Civil War on Drugs is not a real movie.
She'll drop my letter
Oh, it's
grade.
not?
I think not drop like lower, but drop as in say it. I think B plus. There were too many times for me where I was just like, why is this? Yeah. Why are you doing that? And it felt more so than most other movies. And I get it. A lot of it was because she's just a good person. A little too good. A little bit too good for my taste.
And one last thing
I like bad girls.
No, one last thing I wanted to mention.
Like the creature in the basement.
God damn it.
So we mentioned how great it was, shot and executed and all that stuff. It was also very well cut. I just and I just thought of it in this part where like right before she realizes she doesn't have her phone, it like cuts to like her phone sitting on like the table, and that kind of stuff can be cheesy, I guess, but it worked really well the way it was slipped in here. Same with like her keys. Yeah, that's about. I mean, they only do it twice, but each time I noticed that cut, I'm like, very nice. Like that, that kind of stuff can get cheesy, but just even with the music cues when they did those cuts, I was like, yeah, I was surprised he's that. Yeah, he's definitely a talent to watch who will probably get something big next, like a Marvel.
The cops are the worst cops in the world.
Cops are the worst cops in the world.
They're the worst. They're worse than the worst cops in the world.
Listen, Jammer. There's a reason why the song is called "Fuck the Police." All right, there's a reason for that.
Yeah,
there's a reason. This is the reason why. Yeah, they're the worst. They're terrible. And
they're really bad.
to their credit, not to give them an out, but they think she's high, right? They think she's on drugs, which not totally unreasonable.
She didn't look that, because the thing is, she looked too. She was dirty, but she was too like. Her sentences were coming together. She sounded too smart. She looked too well fed. It didn't look like she had an addiction. She had all of her teeth.
Okay.
It could have been her first time having a
it could have been. I guess
trip,
you gotta. Everyone has to start somewhere.
Drinking all that. Yeah, just the milk.
Right.
Just made me think of Homelander.
Everybody's in a train spotting druggie. Some people, you gotta. There's a descent there.
What's her name again? The actress Georgina Watson?
Yeah, I can't remember. It's
Georgina
something.
But I would be surprised if this was like her breakout movie. I know she's been in other things, but I mean like to the next Georgina Campbell.
Yeah,
she was in
just to be clear,
His Dark Materials and like other Black Mirror type stuff, but I feel like this is like I could see this being her breakout.
Yeah, here's the thing. Just to be clear, any issues that I had with what the character did, not her. I thought that she was amazing. Very good with the material that they gave her. I thought it worked. She sold it. So yeah, I think it could have been worse in a worse actor's hands.
And I think the director too. This is going to be his breakout, even if it doesn't get like a Marvel or something.
Agreed.
Like he's definitely getting some Blumhouse deals or some A24 deals.
He's definitely going to get himself a DC, which is the thing we need to start saying, right?
Get himself a DC.
You're not going to get a Marvel. You're going to get yourself a DC.
But
you guys ready to move on so we can get to that good stuff?
Yeah, let's move on.
All right. Letter grades in the bag, film in the bag. Go watch it. We think it's good. Let's move on to some.
Hold on, hey Jammer. Business note. Do you want a screener of One Piece film Red?
Yes. Wait, how good quality is it, you think?
It's from Crunchyroll and it's for the dub, so I don't
know.
Probably
pretty good then. Probably pretty good. Yeah, I'll take it.
Okay.
Do I have to review it?
Yes. Yeah.
Let me think here. No.
Well, I was gonna offer if you wanted to do it as a video review on AVR. I mean, I saw the movie already, so.
Cameron's like, all right, I only write books. I don't write posts.
I just don't.
That's interesting.
Right.
I'll get with you guys more on that after.
That's so random. So I don't want to keep talking about Barbarian, but I was looking at the complete cast list. But Melissa, the person he allegedly sexually assaulted, was Kate Bosworth.
Was she shown?
That's weird.
Movie?
Do we even hear her voice? We don't even hear her voice either, do we?
We hear, I think her
message.
Voicemail.
Yeah, we hear her voicemail.
Oh,
that was interesting. That's weird. That's very strange. Anyway,
and maybe he just got a connection. And he was like, "Hey, can you come into?"
They're married
for 30 minutes. Oh, I didn't know that. That's why. Why are you so confused?
final question: is this movie too woke?
No.
What?
I hate that.
I'm being an asshole.
Yes,
Like,
you are.
Because the second half is so woke. They have to shove it down our throats that like men are molesting women. Men won't say this. Basically, when we heard about the situation, he didn't say
listen,
no.
Let me tell you.
Until she said yes.
Not all men, but definitely mostly.
Yeah, definitely
Men with
a
power.
lot. Definitely
Men with
a
power.
lot to be.
Definitely the majority.
Definitely a lot to be concerned. Enough to be concerned.
Yeah, and especially like the whole men with power dynamic. Like when even Aziz got accused, it's like, was it because of his power, or I don't know. Sometimes because it's like even then you can be like, even I just didn't say no because it was Aziz. Whereas in this situation, it was like it's like, oh, like so she said no. He's like, yeah, she kept saying no, and then she started enjoying it, and that's when you're like, well, that is the definition of
That's the
sexual
definition.
harassment,
Yeah,
or rape, but
assault,
rape.
Yeah,
Rape. Yeah, not harassment.
sexual harassment panda. Sorry, it's a South Park reference.
Oh, okay.
Someone out there will get it. Yeah, let's news her up.
News. Fuck, we got 2 trailers. 2 Marvel trailers.
Fuck yeah.
2 good ones. First off, we've got a Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special trailer. It only took them, what year is it? 2022. It took them 8 years to pay off the joke from fucking Guardians of the Galaxy. So Kevin Bacon is the greatest hero in the galaxy, going to save an entire city full of people. And what was the line? With 6 up their butts by teaching them how to dance. And so this is who's going to make Star-Lord, who is super down about the fact that Gamora, our Gamora, is dead, and other timeline Gamora is still out there. This was I'm gonna sneeze. It's gone. This was a fun trailer. I had to choke it down.
That happens. Yeah.
I thought it was a fun trailer. I'm looking forward to this. I think that this is going to be a good setup for the next Guardians film, and it looks like a fun romp. What I did not know about this special, it looks like at least a substantial portion of it takes place on Earth, our Earth, which is a very Star Trek-y thing to do.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, so I like that. I think that's fun.
That's right.
What'd you guys
They
think?
didn't go to Earth at all until the end of Endgame. Like they weren't in Infinity War. You meet them, but they're never on Earth in Infinity War. They're on that ship where they're like, "Why is Gamora?" But no, I enjoyed a lot. It's going to be a nice little. I really loved the last special presentation, and I hope they do more. This feels. I mean, this is kind of a middle chapter. James Gunn has said it's super important. We're actually getting locations and characters introduced in this that are going to be key to Volume 3. He has said that in the past. I'm wondering what locations he's speaking of. Probably whatever city they're in when they.
Kevin Bacon's house.
Kevin Bacon's house.
Guardians
The
of the
main
Galaxy will take
location.
place completely in Kevin Bacon's house.
And you want to hear me and Kyle talk about these trailers in depth. That's what Marvel Multiverse Mayhem was this week, to shill. But but yeah, getting Kevin Bacon in there finally. I said this on our show. It makes 3 degrees of Kevin Bacon so easy. You're like, he was in Marvel. Everyone else in the world's in Marvel.
But you have to do the specific project, though. It's not just Marvel. Marvel doesn't count as a movie.
Marvel Guardians, which leads to Endgame, which has every actor in the world in that scene at the end of Endgame.
There you go. Yeah, it does make it easier for sure.
Check.
And in this world, is there X-Men First Class? And does he play that character in X-Men First Class?
The multiverse. That's the multiverse.
There you go.
A variant of Kevin Bacon is a Nazi.
Yeah, I thought it was fun. I really like seeing. It looks like Mantis and Drax are going to be like the main characters, and I love the fact that it's like seeing their dynamic. Finally, it was great. It was awesome in the second movie, together. And I like seeing more of it in this one. And I just like seeing her kind of fit into the group. Obviously, we've seen more clips of it in like the Avengers movies as well as the Thor. I was trying to think what was the movie we saw.
That was actually kind of disappointing to me about Love and Thunder was the fact that I had anticipated more Guardians. Not only did I anticipate more Guardians, I was disappointed by how little Mantis and Drax we got in Love and Thunder.
Well, so now we're making up for it with this.
No, I'm not going to jump to conclusions. Somebody taught me.
Okay.
Someone taught me.
Someone taught you that.
Even though they were fucking wrong when they said it.
Hey, I'm just
saying,
they
still gave me pause. They still gave me pause.
Here's the thing. I'm totally okay with you saying it looks like we're having Shuri. Not that. Okay, so Shuri is now Black Panther. There's a difference between it looks like Shuri is Black Panther and Shuri is Black Panther.
But was I wrong?
Because it looked like Hulk was going to be running with the Avengers in Infinity War, and that didn't happen.
But here's the difference. Here's the difference between that. They deliberately lied to you.
Yeah. Who says they didn't deliberately lie to us here?
I don't think they would do that here.
Who is to say, Jonesy?
Me. I would make.
He knows all the spoilers, but don't.
I would make an educated guess that they would not fuck with the Black Panther.
You're right. Educated guess. You're allowed to say my educated guess is that is the case, and that Shuri is Black Panther. As opposed to saying Shuri is Black Panther.
Decisive man of action. DMA. That's me. Anyway, we got another trailer. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Quantumania. To stay in line with my yelling. What does Janet know? Not the Jammer variant. What does Janet know, and when did she know it? Right? That's the question that we have as we watch the new Quantumania trailer. We get a really cool comic accurate Kang. Nick, you asked if Jammer made a Star-Lord level mistake by not revealing.
Janet, not Jammer.
Yeah, this is fun. This is what we're doing. We're doing the back and forth.
Okay.
I said Janet, not Jammer variant. Now we're going back to Jammer.
Oh. I forgot.
Do I have to start over? God damn.
No.
Anyway.
Do it again. Take two.
No. Fuck all of you. Anyway.
Yeah.
So
Discord.
Nick was asking a question on Discord as to whether or not Janet Van Dyne knew about Kang, and did she make a Star-Lord level mistake as it relates to not letting everyone know who this person was. My question to that was, did she actually know who he was? Right? I think it's entirely possible. And so that's the thing that I think makes it different. I'm really excited for this film. I think that the Ant-Man films have been a delight in the MCU. They've been fun. And so I am looking forward to this. And I think that they are kind of, they're really going after it in this one, getting to see what the quantum realm looks like in this film. Looks like it's going to be a blast. It looks like it's just a universe inside of a universe, as opposed to just a series of tubes like we've seen thus far. So that's fun. I'm anticipating, like, there are so many questions that I have about this film that I'm just really excited to see. Part of it is, up until this point, I've bitched and moaned about where the MCU as a whole is going. I felt like we've been meandering a little bit, and finally getting to see Kang in not necessarily ultimate form, but like seeing him in the MCU in proper form gives us some indication of where we're going with this story overall. And so I would like to see his interactions with Kang, and I'm sorry, with Ant-Man. And then the other question I have beyond that is, how do they sidestep the idea, like, if he's in this film, if Ant-Man can beat him, how is he an Avengers level threat? And so I'm curious how they're going to work that out within the course of this film.
He could just beat one of his variants, but there's so many more.
But I feel like that would diminish him overall if you get to see it. Like, up until the point where Thanos got beat in Infinity War, and not even really, we never saw him lose. And so if it's hard to build up this character who has conquered the universe, time and space, if he can be beat by Scott Lang. So I want to see him kill Scott Lang.
I disagree. So here's what I like. I like underdog villains.
Jammer, what do you like?
I like villains who are weaker, and they constantly have to, like, do things to, outsmart the good guy a lot of times. I think that's more interesting, like, in many ways. So if we have a villain, not to say he's going to be weaker, but like if there's a situation where it's like, well, you beat me this time, luckily I've learned from this, and now I'm going to beat this, because he may not be like strong, but he has a lot of technology that maybe he doesn't, and he's able to make it work in a way that is unpredictable.
I don't know, man. Have you seen Jonathan Majors lately? Motherfucker looks strong.
Louise, yeah, much bigger than Paul Rudd.
Motherfucking beefcake.
I think it'll be. It sounds like from stuff I've heard from the other trailer that didn't make it into this, the D23 or Comic-Con, I can't remember which place it came from, where they had the footage, because in that one it shows that Kang has Cassie prisoner when he like tells Ant-Man like, you're gonna do this heist for me, basically, because they're always a heist film. And same with like the line is gone where he's like, oh, you're an Avenger, have I killed you before? Like they're kind of keeping it softer than that in this trailer. I think he's gonna have Ant-Man do the heist, and I think Ant-Man's gonna somehow screw him with what he gets, or he like tricks him into thinking he has, almost like an Ethan Hunt move, where they say a Mission Impossible movie, you do a little heist, you give it to the bad guy, and then you're able to get it back from the bad guy in time.
The rabbit's foot. Where's the rabbit's foot? Where's the rabbit's foot? It's a rabbit's foot.
Well, the plutonium. There's always a MacGuffin in those movies. The plutonium and Fallout.
I will say that's probably the only J.J. Abrams film that I like beginning to end.
Yeah,
Mission Impossible 3.
I like Star Trek, but
I love Star Trek. Star Trek's amazing.
That's how Ant-Man.
It's not though. It's not.
It is though.
It is.
I like it, but I like it, but I have so many questions. Like there are just plot elements in there that don't work. Like, why do you go and try to kill the thing, and then they just vanish for 20 years, and so because they edited it badly.
They edited out the whole Klingon prison in like 20 minutes of.
Weird. Yeah, if you think about it for 5 seconds, like this doesn't make sense.
No, you're right. Sure. You're 100%. Here's the thing: like a lot of people, J.J. Abrams has plot issues, but he's still a really great director on a moment-to-moment basis, and sort of breadcrumbing you in a way that's interesting and fun.
Except for Last Skywalker.
Exactly.
There's not a good moment in that.
No, I agree. I mean, there's some good moments in that movie, but like, it's not a good movie. It's awful.
Yeah, the first 5 minutes.
What happened the first 5 minutes again? Oh yeah,
the first 5 minutes is when they go to get the information from that one alien, and then Kylo Ren chops that alien's head off and throws it on the table. I was like, oh yeah, here we go.
Oh yeah,
here we go. Some Star Wars, and it was fucking terrible. After that,
yeah, it wasn't very good. I hated that movie.
I hated it.
God, so bad.
Should have gotten Ryan Johnson for the third one.
As much as I did not care for Last Jedi, Jammer can verify, I always said, don't retcon it, lean into it, don't waste time trying to fix it. Just go with it. And what did they do? They tried to fix it and wasted 2/3 of a movie.
Anyway, Last Jedi was perfect.
Ant-Man, back to no more Star Wars tangents unless we're going to discuss Andor.
God, you sound like Sean Spicer over there. Best Star Wars movie ever, biggest audience ever.
I'm sorry, who? Like, why? Why Sean Spicer?
Sean. Oh man, yeah, I know this is like a 2016 joke. I'm sorry.
I know who he is, but I don't know Star Wars. How?
You were like him.
It's the inauguration when he was like, "This was the largest inauguration, hands down." So I'm saying like, this is the greatest Star Wars movie, hands down.
Or like the highest gross.
I mean, but the thing is, the difference between him and me is that I'm right.
Okay. Anyway,
I
want a few more things to say about Ant-Man instead of discussing Star Wars.
Oh yeah, Ant-Man, sorry.
So I do think, that Kang will need something to get out of the quantum verse or whatever, his little city realm. I don't know why. Kyle, Kyle knows how everything goes.
Kyle, you're muted.
Is he explaining? No, he's
pretending
doing it on purpose.
To explain the plot because he knows everything.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's doing a Deadpool. He's doing a Deadpool.
Yeah, the Deadpool. Hugh Jackman.
Play charades.
So I think that's the only way you can defeat him without getting killed by him. I wouldn't be surprised if Ant-Man does get killed by Kang.
I do want Ant-Man.
I would. You can't kill Ant-Man and Ant-Man. He's not.
Sure you can.
No, you can't.
It's very easy.
Oh, my last comment.
Barely an inconvenience.
Yeah, that has the best cameo ever in that trailer. The guy from I Think You Should Leave, where he's like, "Thank you, Spider-Man." He's it's from one of my favorite sketches. I Think You Should Leave. The old man where it's the car one, and he's like, they're doing the what do people want in a car focus group, and he's like, "Stinky." He's like, a steering wheel does not fall out the window.
Where, Stan Lee would have fit in.
Oh, that's almost a Stan Lee cam. They should use this guy as Stan Lee in every movie because he is funny. I'm just joking, but
hashtag recast Stan Lee.
Not exactly, but find a new old guy.
That's literally what you just said.
I still think Deadpool should be our Stan Lee and just show up in every movie, but not be important.
I would
like
argue
in the background needing a newspaper.
Let it. It's all right.
But yeah, I like that cameo that most people. Actually, a lot of people will catch that because that's. I think it's Netflix.
Most people.
I don't know. It's one of the. It's one of the most. I don't know because you wouldn't like that sketch show, but it's one of the most. I don't know. It's one of Netflix's biggest sketch shows ever because I don't think they've ever renewed one.
I've watched seasons. It and I didn't catch it. Jammer has no idea who he is. So now you're at 2/3 of the podcast.
I guess you wouldn't know.
Kyle, did you know? Did you know? Did you recognize him?
No, I didn't recognize the old man.
There you go. Yeah. Most people.
We're all super geeks, Nick. No one's gonna know. You're in your own little world thinking, oh, I know, so everyone knows.
I think you should.
No,
leave.
But also like it's the second most meme thing from I Think You Should Leave is that guy behind the hot dog suit, where he's like, anybody could have done this. But
no one knows what you're talking about, Nick.
If you don't know about the hot dog meme, you're an idiot.
Everybody knows it.
I've never seen that
meme. I read about that on CNN. Is how big the hot dog meme got.
Here, I got to look it up.
Yes, God knows.
Politicians were using it.
It's fucking amazing.
Well, I mean, if it makes mainstream news,
you know who shouldn't use it? Politicians, because that's basically them.
They were the ones who were using it, which is when it got really. That's why it became a news story.
Get the irony? Are you looking? What is that face? Are you farting or are you looking up the?
No, I got heartburn going on here.
Got everything going on over there.
No, you know what's going to give you heartburn? You know what's going to give you heartburn? Black Adam just destroyed the motherfucking box office. So $140 million worldwide.
Oh, God.
It is Dwayne Johnson. And this is the thing that shocked me. This was his biggest domestic box office opening. So
Tom Cruise type shot.
I guess.
Because I figured Tom Cruise did way bigger than Top Gun's opening. And I thought The Rock has had bigger openings than Black Adam, but apparently not.
Yeah, and as I think about it, maybe not, right? So I would think that some of the stuff that would have done better actually opened during pandemic-y time, so probably not. But yeah, fuck the critics. This movie is killing it. And it's going to be interesting to see. I was a little worried from the perspective of, they've talked a lot about the future of the DCEU hinging on how well this movie did. But it seems like it's just killing it. So good on them for making a mediocre movie that everyone could glom onto. And,
killing it. I'm assuming it's a lower budget film based on what you guys also said about special effects compared to stuff they put before. Because it made 20 million more than Spider-Man 1 in its opening weekend. That's good for the pandemic and that's good for this year, but that's not killing it.
Jesus Christ. I just looked up the budget. 195 million.
Yeah, it's a $200 million movie. This is not
killing it.
Really? It's not bad, but it's not amazing. It's not gonna make it has to probably make 500-ish million in order to break even.
It will do better than had to be his goddamn paycheck.
It'll make more money than Justice League or Batman v Superman because those were giant budgets.
Wow. I did not there's no.
To be fair,
I would not have fathomed that this cost that much.
To be fair to this, Eternals made more money on its opening weekend, bringing in over 70 million opening weekend.
You know why? People thought it would be good.
Whereas this is DC, and people are like, eh.
Batman did everything. I wanted this to be successful. We got to talk about this on Daily Cog because for theaters, I thought the 140 million was domestic, and it wasn't. It was worldwide.
That's pretty bad.
And even when you start looking into context of all the other superhero movies recently, not to mention which have had lukewarm receptions overall, not to mention things like Top Gun Maverick, it really isn't as great a number as even in the context of quote unquote post pandemic, but still bravo for The Rock breaking a personal record.
So here's what sucks. And I almost have to take it back. My thinking on that 140, even any way you slice it, 67 or 140, my thought was that this was, we just said, a lower budget movie against $200 million. I don't think so anymore. And just going back with Eternals, that was a film that got a lot of people that wouldn't necessarily have gone to see that film to go see it, right? So you've got Kit Harington, Richard Madden, and you've got Angelina Jolie, and you've got Chloe Zhao, right? Prestige actors and a prestige director. And so I think at least, and plus the baseline Marvel people are already going to go see it.
DC needs to keep
minus the COVID
itself.
tax.
Minus the COVID tax. So I'm not surprised that it did slightly better, that it skewed slightly higher.
140 is pretty bad, but the news was saying it was a big hit because, like I said, the record for the biggest opening of all time domestically was Spider-Man, and it was only 120.
Here's the question,
and that was back in 2002 before inflation.
Will it have legs?
I think so.
Legs? If it has legs, this could be fine.
I know a lot of DC fans.
Wakanda Forever comes out next week, so it's done. So it's got
the week after
that
next,
opening weekend, this weekend, and then done.
No, I think
so it's gonna.
Wakanda Forever is the week after next, because next week we're covering.
It has 2 more weekends.
Wendell and Wild next weekend, which came out today, and the week after that's our Black Panther week.
Because next Saturday is November 5th, and that's the day Doc Brown invented time travel back in 1955, and also the year my son was born in 2013. So,
how sad is that? No flying cars.
No flying cars.
So I mean, but it also could be different in your country. I don't know, Jonesy.
Oh yeah, no, I'm wrong. Yeah, you guys are right. And I think part of what it was, I was seeing the media the embargoes are over, and people are already seeing Wakanda Forever. So I thought it was next week.
Well, when I went to test screenings, Marvel often does them really early because they're proud.
The full embargo is not lifted yet. It's just early Twitter reactions. Yep.
Yeah.
Manny Gomez saw it last Wednesday night, and
what do you think?
He loved it.
He loved it. He and I were real similar. I think even the three of us probably all shared some similar worries and concerns. He said Letitia Wright is an outright lead, and she holds it well. He said, of course, Tenoch. I think I said that right, or Tenoch.
Okay, you're talking about the actor. I think
he said Namor works amazing. That the world looks good. Pretty much every issue that he had personally seemed to have been completely absolved, unfounded, whatever word you want to use for gone. He's very, very happy with the film. There are some other things, story stuff, that we'll have to see how play out, but yeah.
Okay.
Now it's something I forgot to mention with Ant-Man. Ant-Man kind of crushed a lot of my excitement. I'm still excited for Black Panther, but Ant-Man makes me at a point where it's like, now that I've seen Kang, let's give me Kang. Don't make me worry about Wakanda. But I'll be excited when I sit, like I was telling Kyle in the podcast, the minute I'm sitting in the theater and the Wakanda theme comes over the Marvel credits or whatever, I'm gonna be like, fuck yeah, Black Panther world. And I think part of my excitement is hurt because of no T'Challa. I think they're using Namor to kind of be like, we still have a big character in it, but I'm like, I don't give a shit about Namor or whatever. I
don't think they're using him to just attract people. I think they're doing him to enrich the story. It sounds like.
Well, yeah, but
who, Namor?
Yeah,
but I feel like he's their draw.
I don't think they're going
T'Challa.
Fucking kids love Namor. It's
yeah,
not,
no, I think they would have done him.
He's not.
Regardless of who the lead was, I think they would have done him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they kind of hinted at it in Endgame. They used to they claim there's that line in Endgame where she's talking about the
earthquake under the ocean.
Yeah, earthquake under the ocean nearby Wakanda. Well, let's not worry about that right now. We got bigger stuff to worry about.
Well, let's not worry about 2 trailers ago. Let's push on with this Black Adam stuff, because what it leads into is Henry Cavill spoiling the end of Black Adam by saying he's back, baby. Superman returns. So what we all knew and suspected after having watched the film, Henry Cavill released a statement to say, I wanted to wait until the weekend was over before posting this because I wanted to give you all a chance to watch Black Adam. Now that plenty of you have, I wanted to make it official. I'm back as Superman. So that's kind of exciting. There was another explanation. I think I lost it, but he gives an explanation for why he chose a particular suit that he was wearing. So he's back in the classic suit. I didn't care for it. I didn't care for the music, but
Oh, it's not even the Zack Snyder suit, just not desaturated.
Yeah, it's.
I like the Zack Snyder
suit. Does he have
suit.
underwear on over it?
I don't think you can see. I think it is.
So how can we tell?
It looks, the colors are a little bit more vibrant, like Nick said.
I thought that was because people have resaturated, or I don't know what the term is, the Man of Steel, and it looks great. Like, it is bright, but Zack Snyder just desaturates his movies for that look. But I thought, I've seen the suit itself, like behind the scenes photos and stuff, and it is bright, the one he wears in Man of Steel.
Yeah. So yeah, I am curious. Mostly because the next story kind of leads into is we've got new heads of DCEU, and James Gunn and Peter Safran are going to be leading this. And so between do we call Black Adam a success now? That's certainly the way it's being positioned.
It wasn't a flop.
All right,
it'll make more money.
We'll go with that. It wasn't a flop.
People care.
So I'm curious, what does that mean going forward for James Gunn, who is now taking over the DCEU with a quote-unquote successful Black Adam, or not a flop Black Adam, a Superman, and whatever else he's going to be working on.
And he's still stuck with the Flash and Aquaman as they exist now.
Is he?
Before
he doesn't seem... Man, it'll be interesting to see how much power he actually has, because as someone who talked a lot of shit about Jared Leto, I don't know that Ezra Miller has a lot of... Yeah, I don't know that he would tolerate that shit.
Even though they've worked together?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. So... for those of you that missed it over this past week, James Gunn and Peter Safran were named DC Studios CEOs by Zaslav, the Warner Brothers Discovery CEO. So it's kind of an exciting time. There was a lot of discussion
DC
about
Studios. It's no longer DC Film. Yeah. It's DC Studios.
I'm sorry,
because he's going to be in charge of the animation and the HBO Max, and whereas the animation was kind of run separately, which is why the animation is so much better than the DC. Previously titled DCEU movies.
Yep.
It's still DCEU. No one's gonna stop saying DCEU.
That's what I'm calling it. So after
it's like She-Hulk, you don't get to pick your own name.
Navigating Peacemaker and Suicide Squad and all of those things, James Gunn is getting to take his shot at leading the studio. And Jammer's point that he made on Discord, like, what a fuck up by Disney, right? I'm excited about this, but it is hard not to realize that the only reason that this probably happened is because he walked across the aisle when Disney unceremoniously dismissed James Gunn a couple of years ago based on some really old tweets, based on some really stale jokes. And so here we are with this guy now leading DC.
He was going to be like the guy mapping out the intergalactic side of the Marvel
the
Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I saw an interesting tweet where someone was like, how ironic that Kevin Feige built his own nemesis. And I disagree with that. Like, I don't think there is as much as the DC versus Marvel culture, especially with James Gunn moving over to DC.
But would
I don't
DC
think there is
given him a chance. Who knows?
No. But I don't think it's a bad thing that, like, I don't think it's a big hurt to Marvel to have a talent that they help build be in charge of a universe that needs the help. Like, I don't think it hurts Marvel at all. Like, I even had some quote where it's like, we're not trying to be, someone had a quote recently where it's like, we're not trying to be Marvel. No, The Rock actually, that was The Rock's quote where it's like, look, we're not here to beat down Marvel. We're not trying to be Marvel. We're DC. Like, they're Marvel. And even like, I like Kevin Feige's quote where he's like, yeah, he has a lot more work to do for us before he takes over that role. But
it's like,
good
God,
for him.
Don't drop the ball. You don't put us on the back burner.
Yeah.
Don't D&D. Better finish this shit out. At least from my perspective, I am more excited about this announcement than a lot of stuff that's happening at Marvel right now. And I think the rationale is, up until this point, we've had lots of suits leading DC and their projects. Now, while Safran is, I don't want to call him a suit, but that's what he is, right? And James Gunn has the practical experience and somebody who has the directorial practical experience of making really fun projects that people have been very passionate about. And Safran in his own right, the Annabelle series and all those things that he's produced, like I'm excited about those things. That combination of folks, everyone has been so focused on Feige and finding a Feige. I feel like if they can pull this off, like this is the best combination of that.
So it does kind of feel similar to what they did with Jeff Johns and that other person a while ago. But obviously, James Gunn is a proven filmmaker. Like he's a good storyteller in film, not just
people like working with them. There haven't been any complaints. So I have a comment and a question. The comment is, it was really interesting on Twitter, because before this was announced, he's also like directing another film and directing Peacemaker and stuff. And someone was like, this is a tweet he responded to. Someone was like, oh man, like I love that you got like at James Gunn. I love that you got this position, but I'm sad you won't be directing any more movies. And he was like, who said I'm not going to be directing any more DC movies? Like he's kind of like a Feige who could also direct a film.
He's a player coach.
The announcement made it clear that he's going to still be directing projects,
which is insane.
I don't understand how he's going to make it work. That's ridiculous. Feige doesn't.
What he's
one of his strengths is that he doesn't direct because he's able to focus. And obviously it's kind of lost now because he's spread thin between too many projects, but it's going to be difficult for Gunn to balance everything.
Well, then my question was going to be, since we have Gunn, who has more of the light flavor, even if he's done some of the R-rated movies in the DCEU, do you think the whole universe is kind of gonna get more of a Marvel facelift as far as tone, since James Gunn, even the Suicide Squad had a Marvel tone to it? I felt.
I mean, so it's
R-rated.
Not just him though.
Suicide Squad did not have a Marvel tone.
I felt it had a very Marvel tone. It was just R-rated. Like it was goofy, like Guardians. It was.
I think it had a Guardians tone because that's his tone, except it was more violent. Guardians to me isn't synonymous with Marvel. Guardians is kind of super hyper weird. It's
his own thing.
But I mean, I think he's perfect to be in charge of a studio that's doing Superman, because Superman should be bright and colorful. Like, obviously, you have to have stakes and stuff, but like, I still think Man of Steel was, at least visually, a very bad interpretation of Superman with the desaturation. Like his movie should look really. I picture a Superman movie looking colorful and not desaturated.
I mean, it can. It doesn't have to.
That's what I want from a Superman movie, especially since like everything in DC right now so far has been dark. I think Wonder Woman's dark, Batman's dark. I think they can lighten them all up, even Batman.
Batman
with the exception of the Batman. Batman's been dark in every movie except for the Schumacher and the Adam West movies.
So it doesn't have to be dark. You just made my point. It doesn't have to be dark.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think he can. I expect to see lighter versions of all of them, and I want to. Like, I'm tired. I mean, and the Matt Reeves can corner that market on the dark version of Batman, but then maybe we get something a little more fun with our James. James Gunn.
We can. I just don't think it's. I don't like.
It's
bright
not a given.
And colorful Superman. It's boring. Bright and colorful Superman is boring to me, and I guess the segues perfectly into the next story, right? That the Superman that we're getting is going to be, what's the word? Supremely joyful or something along those lines. I forgot the specific line, but that he's just going to be more in line with what Nick wants, which I think is fine as long as it makes sense.
Well, I mean,
I don't want it to be Nick, I'm still talking. Like, it doesn't still need to be. It doesn't still need to be. As long as it makes sense from his character arc in Justice League, I'm okay with it. I don't want it to be like, and bam, different character.
Feels like that's what we are getting, just because the Snyder Cut is not canon. And that's where we see the darkest. Man of Steel is, and I guess Whedon's Justice League is, unless you just pretend it didn't happen at all, which is probably smarter. But I was mostly referring to I didn't think he was too dark in the character in Man of Steel. I thought visually, like, I would like to see a brighter film, not necessarily happy-go-lucky Superman all the time. But yeah, I mean, he stands for hope. It would be nice, obviously he's going to come up against a threat. It's going to get really dramatic. He's going to be sad and angry and stuff. But I don't know. I still like Snyder's interpretation of the character.
Like, you stand for hope is cool. But like, it's not always just because he stands for hope doesn't mean that he's perfect and always just happy.
I didn't mean it that extreme, but
Right, you meant more visually.
Yeah, well, and even like, yes, a little bit more hopeful than Man of Steel, but like, no, he's not like, oh boy, like, life is perfect. I got Lois Lane, and I'm right. Maybe that's how it starts. Like, I'm writing news stories, and then boom, villain like Brainiac or someone shows up, and you're like, now it's gonna get dark and twisted.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
And then
hope you guys like hardcore.
Saturates it.
You've seen her a lot more.
Yeah, I like her.
Seen a lot more hardcore.
She'll be the Nick Fury of the whatever.
She definitely showed up in Black Adam. So,
did she? Hardcore did?
Yeah,
James.
You guys remember she was the one? She was the one that
haven't seen the movie.
Oh fuck! I forgot.
Yeah, we haven't seen the movie, and then I got really.
And it makes sense because James Gunn married her after Peacemaker, even though she's like 20 years his junior.
We got that. You said his wife. Yes, we understand.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting to see, given this massive shift with the DCU, what this means for other projects. We've already had some other things happen. So the Green Lantern is currently being retooled. A series that was going to star Alan Scott as well as Guy Gardner is now being retooled to star Jon Stewart, which I'm excited for. I have a strong preference to see Jon Stewart, who we haven't seen up until this point in live action. So that's going to be fun. I remember way back when he was going to be in the Justice League Mortal film, and it was going to be Common. And I don't know whether or not I think Common could have pulled that off, but I think it would have been fun just to get a live action Jon Stewart. But it'll be interesting to see what films and projects, if any, survive under this new Gunn Safran regime, given the fact that they lost a couple of folks as they were making this film. So, I keep calling it a film, not a film, show.
Well, and I think that was definitely the right decision. I thought it was kind of an insult not to Jon Stewart.
Why?
Because he's like, to me,
he's our generation's Green Lantern.
Yeah, he's Green Lantern number 2, like for me, but he's our generation's. Yeah, he's our generation's. I don't like by jumping to 2 other white Green Lanterns, you're almost taking away one of a strong black character. Even though Guy Gardner is a very fascinating
I was
Green Lantern in the comics.
I remember reading more about Guy Gardner in the comic books, especially around the time the death of Superman, more so than Jon Stewart. And so
I knew mostly from the animated shows.
Yeah, and so
which is why I got
that made it massively popular. Yeah.
And then in the New 52, he's actually a Red Lantern in a great Supergirl story. And actually, he was the lead of the book Red Lanterns.
Which Jon Stewart?
No, Guy Gardner.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I think it is a fun move. It's a move that excites me. I don't know that I necessarily saw it as an insult that he wasn't in it, or that it didn't star him. But it is surprising that up until this point we hadn't gotten a live action version.
Only because they used up Hal Jordan. I don't see them bringing back Hal. Yeah, don't bring him up for like 10 years, unless you're gonna Deadpool him. Bring back Ryan Reynolds.
It's already been 10 years.
Are they gonna fridge him?
We'll Deadpool him. Ryan Reynolds will come back with his version of the.
See what you did there, Jonesy.
I did it. I did the thing. So yeah, we'll see. Was anybody excited for that project as it was, or are you more excited for it now? Nick, I think you kind of gave your thoughts.
Probably more
mostly that it's
now.
under like a different regime. I'm more excited. I mean, I was always open to it, but I was never excited for it. So I'm excited for this now that I like James Gunn, and hopefully I'm interested to see where he shepherds it.
And there could be other changes. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they switched that to a movie.
Maybe.
Yeah, we'll see.
Give him the big screen. Especially
Give
if
him
he's going to be in a reformed Justice League.
Zaslav, and he's just like, fuck the small screen, fuck streaming. Streaming is for reality TV only.
Except for the Reeves universe.
I would honestly prefer that, right? I think I would like to see another Green Lantern movie. It'll be interesting to see if they can overcome the older Green Lantern.
I think you
film.
can now with a different Green Lantern. And you'll give it some subtitle or something. Call it The Green Lantern. They overcame Suicide Squad. They can overcome Green Lantern, I think.
Did they, though?
They didn't. That movie flopped.
Yeah.
The Suicide Squad flopped?
Yeah.
That's because of the pandemic.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
I think Aldous Hodge would have been a good Green Lantern, but it'll be interesting. Or John Stewart specifically, but it'll be interesting to see who we get. So that was the guy that played Hawkeye.
You mean
Hawkeye? God, Hawkman.
Hawkman.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see who they get to play John Stewart. You guys have any fantasy castings?
Jonathan Majors. No, I'm kidding.
I was gonna say Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan. I mean, he'd be good.
Yeah.
I mean, either of those two would work, but I mean, those are like the obvious takes.
I wouldn't
literally
do
just
Jonathan
pulled
Majors.
the two actors from Creed 3. Who else could it be?
Donald Glover. No. It could
No,
work.
no.
Childish Gambino, yo.
No.
No.
Just because you say his name differently doesn't mean he's a different actor.
I didn't say his name differently. I said his other name.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I have
Sort
the
of.
flu, Nick. I feel like shit. I'm not on my game. I can't come at you like I usually do.
Wow.
Come at me, bro.
Phrasing.
I didn't say come on. I said come at.
Still phrasing.
Still phrasing.
I'm just looking at my shelf of movies and trying to come up with a good actor to play.
What about you, Jonesy?
Corey Hawkins. So he was in the rebooted 24 series. He was in Kong Skull Island. You don't like him?
Would be. I like that.
So I think it's somebody that he's
how old is he? 34.
34.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's perfect.
I thought he was way older. I thought he was like in his 40s or low 50s.
He was like really young in 24.
Yeah,
he was in The Heights.
Yeah, he was.
And so I think as somebody who is of the right age, he's tall. He's 6'1". As somebody who's supposed to be a Marine, I think he has the physical stature to play that role. I was kind of annoyed. I went to an event on Monday and I was with these Marines. So I'm not short, 5'11". These guys were like 6'3" and 6'4". I was like, God damn it, I feel short. Anyway, so I feel like you need that, right? Somebody that can fill out that uniform. So
I'll dig it.
That to me. Oh, also, would make it fun? He was in 6 Underground. So that's another reason to cast him. With Ryan
Make
Reynolds.
it happen.
He was in a terrible movie?
No, just so you get that connective tissue. People are like, oh, how people like to point at the screen, like, oh, they were in the same movie together, and that was that one.
Oh, you're talking about Nick. You're literally just talking about Nick.
What? How dare you?
How
dare you?
Dare you?
How dare you? Anyway, that's my fantasy casting. You like it? Good. Ready to move on?
Yeah.
Awesome. Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren is back, baby, potentially. He is rumored for a role in the Fantastic Four film as Dr. Doom or no, not Cough. Reed Richards.
Fantastic.
Mr. Fantastic himself. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, we've got no casting news out of this film. A lot of fans were looking forward to having John Krasinski play him. Nobody on this podcast, except probably me. So it's going to be interesting to see. I can't think of a time, except for maybe Robin Hood, where we've had someone potentially being cast as either the villain or the hero in a film where it could go either way.
Was that Jamie Foxx?
No, this is the one with Russell Crowe, I think.
Oh, jeez.
Remember that?
Definitely be the sheriff of Nottingham.
Oh yeah,
I forgot about that movie.
Yeah,
now I remember.
You know why? Because it's forgettable.
It sucked.
And there's been another Robin Hood since then.
There's never been a good Robin Hood movie.
You watch your mouth. Prince of Thieves is a
what are you talking about?
treat. Yeah. Screw you, Jammer.
No. Is that the Kevin Costner one?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
I need to watch that one.
The Painted Man.
Love it.
I think I just don't like Robin Hood. I just don't like the character of Robin Hood. He's boring.
What?
I don't like it. Don't like it.
Doesn't like Lord of the Rings.
Doesn't
like Robin Hood.
If you fucking
doesn't
weirdos
like hold on,
druthers.
what? Hold on a second. In what world did I say I don't like Lord of the Rings?
We were talking about the books. We were shitting on the books.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I will say, in my book listen, I finally made it to Rivendell. Fuck, after a million years, and
it's gonna get more boring before it gets better.
No, it's actually gotten more interesting. So I
get
think
the Council of Elrond.
Yes, and here's why. Let me say why.
Always comes back to Lord of the Rings.
As the book hews closer to the films and where it deviates slightly, I feel like I am listening to a director's cut of the film. And that's kind of what I like. Yeah, that's what I'm enjoying.
Fair. I can see that.
That's what's happening. Oh, also, I don't know if you guys remember this. Remember I was saying like fans were upset because Eowyn was made up or something along those lines. It isn't that she's made up. They inserted her into parts where she wasn't into the film.
They gave her
and
more
so
prominence.
that was the biggest difference. Like the whole running from the Nazgul in the films was not her at all. That was somebody completely different.
You're talking about Arwen.
So that was that's what I said.
You said
Eowyn.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
I still understood who you meant though.
I didn't
everybody
actually.
had these same goddamn names.
And they were gonna do her. They were gonna have her more prominent originally. They actually shot scenes with her like fighting, I think, in Helm's Deep or something, and other stuff. And
interesting.
Didn't work. And they even shot scenes of Sauron actually coming back and then fighting him, but they didn't use.
Glad they didn't do that.
I don't want that. Yeah, I didn't need that. But back to the main point. So this film that's going to be directed by Mark Shackman with potentially Kylo Ren in either the lead
Matt Shackman
or villain
Matt Shackman
role. God damn it! I need to go to bed.
I would like Reed Richards from him. I mean, we know he has the Kylo Ren voice, which would be cool for Doctor Doom. But I would like. I don't want him to be. I think he could easily play the good guy. I think he has range.
No more mask.
Yeah, no more mask.
Tired of the mask
too. Just let him be. Yeah, I think he'd be a good Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards.
He'd have to win me over. I'm sure he'll be fine. He's a great actor, but I just don't envision him as that.
Is either one?
Oh, no, as Mr. Fantastic. I could envision him as Doom. Yeah, but I mean, that's the cliche thing because we saw him be bad. So
yeah, exactly.
I could see him being bad. So
I mean, we essentially saw him be the same character.
Yeah. So I'm like, it's a little uninspired, I'll admit, but that's the one I envision him more as. But, I'm sure he'll be able to pull it off.
That's exactly why I want to see Reed Richards. I want to see the other side of not the obvious
Marriage
choice.
Story. Marriage Story is so good.
Well, I don't think he's that much of a good guy in that either, is he? Based on the one clip I've seen from that movie,
he's
them just shouting at each other. Okay.
Yeah, but there's having an argument. He's a good enough guy. He's a good guy in that movie.
Okay.
I recall.
Okay.
There's this really funny scene where what he does is he does this game where he takes like a utility knife and he like puts it sheathes it and like runs it along his hand as like a joke to his kids, like saying like, oh, I'm cutting myself, and obviously it's not cutting him. And at one point he I forget who it is, like some legal person comes in and he's like, oh yeah, it's just a stupid game. The kid was like, do the thing. He's like, fine. And he's like really flustered, so he accidentally cuts himself and he just starts bleeding all over the place. It's really funny.
Ew.
Okay.
It kind of makes me wonder. I was just gonna say,
go ahead.
Ooh, okay. There was an article from Cam earlier this week, 2 days ago, where he talked about there was a Doctor Doom scene that was supposedly cut, a post-credit scene that was cut from Wakanda Forever. So that would have been a very interesting segue into this character getting that. Sorry, go ahead, Kyle.
Oh,
Kyle just shared new news
on that on the Fantastic Four casting.
Ooh, really?
William Jackson Harper is a potential rumor. He's been cast in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and some people are suggesting, hey, maybe could be no real rumor that he is Reed, but that's a fan casting playing into news.
Interesting.
That he's
like
been
that.
Man, not with that fucking body. There's no way you could be Reed.
No, he's too ripped. You gotta say like, hey, eat some more donuts, man.
You can rip and stretch.
I mean, we had to buy him as this super nerd in The Good Place, even though he was super ripped. So I guess he could pull it off if he has the right attitude.
Wait, is this Cheaty or whatever?
Yeah, it's a Cheaty.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be a cool Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah. Well, he didn't know who he was, Jones.
No, I didn't at first.
I know.
That's why I didn't have an opinion about him at first. It's not like I'm like, that's a good choice. I was like, okay.
That'd be interesting. That would be an interesting direction.
I don't think it is, but I could see it working.
You don't think it's an interesting direction?
No, I don't think this.
Oh,
he's
you don't
gonna
think
play
it's
Mr.
Reed
Fantastic,
Richards?
but it could be interesting.
Yeah. Fans would lose their minds.
But it would make sense to make Reed Richards black if
does it, Nick?
Why? If Kang is indeed the son
also
of
black?
Reed Richards.
What does Kang have to do with Reed
Kang,
Richards?
it was one of his origins is he's Reed Richards' descendants. Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
There's that version, there's the Egyptian version. There's Iron, there's a bunch of different.
I don't know if you've seen a little film
Richards.
called Fast and Furious.
Well, and also there could be other black people down in the lineage.
Someone looks at John Krasinski's character, Reed Richards, they say to Kang, I didn't realize you had a Nordic strain.
You guys joked about that last week too, so I didn't get it, so I had to look it up. But now I get it.
Still good.
Oh yeah, you never saw Fast 9?
Of course I didn't.
Oh man, that was.
It was funny because that was my moment of realization. I'm like, Vin Diesel's not white. I didn't realize he wasn't white. I thought he was white.
Which again is why that scene is so hilarious that they felt the need to explain that. Like, of all the things that happen in Fast and Furious movies, this is the thing.
I just imagine them then like having the scene and then like, hold on a second. Vin Diesel's like, I think people are being distracted by the fact that he's really white and I'm not. So we need to address that. And they're like, no, it's fine. No, I really think we need to.
No, we need to explain family. We need to explain family. All right, last two stories. You ready to rip through them?
Rip it.
Do it.
All right, so I don't even know which order to do these in, which one would make it more funny. So Damon Lindelof is being he's going to be the scribe, right? So he's been hit up to be the scribe on the new Star Wars film, which is funny. So if you know Damon Lindelof, you know him from such things as Watchmen, which I think we all loved, and Lost, which I definitely did not love. So what's going to make that very funny is that Kathleen Kennedy was told to stop announcing Star Wars films.
The rumor, right? Yeah.
Whatever. I'm going to jump to conclusions here. She was told, "Hey,
thank you, Nick.
Hey,
I
Kathy,
appreciate
Kathy,
your journalistic
Kathy, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, Kathy."
In all fairness, I feel like a good chunk of like maybe about a third or half of them weren't announced. They were just THR or Variety posted it, but they're pretty reliable, so it's basically an announcement.
Yeah, that's the same situation here with Lindelof. It wasn't announced by her, but she does announce things. Like things do come from.
She
Disney
still has,
quite often.
Like at least half of the things that she's announced are things that like Taika Waititi, Ryan Johnson, Patty Jenkins. I mean, and then also
the Dennis Benioff,
D&D.
Yeah,
D&D.
Yeah.
Those four I think were all announced. Other ones I think were leaked. So I get it, but also asterisk just to make sure it's clear that
and Feige has produced, even though I assume Feige produced is Taika's just because their relationship. But again, that could be a whole different. We don't
assume that.
That's an assumption.
But I think they made it clear.
But again, that could be a whole different project. Also, another Star Wars movie that we may never see.
Yeah. So allegedly, this censorship came from Bob Chapek himself, who also had some weird, interesting news come out this week where he said he didn't think cartoons were adults.
He basically said when you're watching animation and your kids put them to bed, he doesn't think they're going to go and watch more animation. You're going to watch other stuff that's
Bob,
for them.
Bob, shut the fuck up, Bob.
Shut up, Bob.
We watch
you should go back to like running Disney well. Oh wait, you haven't done that yet, so you can't go back to it.
Where's the other guy? Where's the other Bob? I want the other.
Where's
Bob.
the other Bob? I like the other Bob.
Bob's better. Anyway,
the other Bob wasn't condescending.
Any thoughts and feelings about this fact? So I mean, I think we've kind of run through it. We've clarified that some of these stories were leaked versus actually announced by her.
But agree, regardless, they need to not announce anything until it's like about to go into production.
Yeah. So we'll see.
I think she's trying to be like Marvel or Feige, and just be like, "Yeah, all this. We have this big slate coming up, y'all. We don't have dates for any of it." Or
trying to please us fans by saying
actually they have had dates for like next Star Wars movie. Like even Patty Jenkins
stuff
had
like
a
Rogue
date,
Squadron.
Right? Yeah. Now don't they have like untitled Star Wars movie and there's still a date for it on the Disney slot?
Who knew that slate of shit that Marvel throws out is hard to do? Who knew?
No one knew that.
James Gunn will learn.
Who knew? DC knew. No, I mean DC tried it, right? They had a bunch of those, and then they all just fucking fell down the toilet. Star Wars has done it; those fell down the toilet.
I remember
making
writing
good things hard.
Back when I was writing for LRM, I wrote 3 different stories about the director of Nightwing being like, "No, it's definitely happening. It's definitely happening." Like all these years later, it's like Nightwing.
Nightwing.
No one's talking about it. Nothing. Bueller.
I'm talking about it. You know why? Because the motherfucker's on Titans, and it's fun. So anyway,
he can live there.
Yeah, he can stay there. Anything else? You guys got anything else for this show or any other?
I remember there was another rumor attached to it. That, and I don't know how huge of a rumor it is compared to the news that he was doing a movie, but that his would not be Skywalker Saga, but it would still be a sequel to Last Jedi. I mean, Rise of Skywalker, as you might have like Poe or Finn. Like it would be a continuation of some of those characters.
Yeah, it's going to be post that time period.
Well, they even said it might be a continuation of some of those characters, like Poe or Finn. I would love to see a Poe and Finn movie, but I know John Boyega is pretty turned off by Star Wars.
No, I think he said he was open to coming back.
Okay.
A month or two ago.
Because I would watch a Poe and Finn TV series, or like
Disney I would love to see
a movie,
some development with Finn that isn't wrapped in some mystery box bullshit by J.J. Abrams. Like, hey, I'm going to be a Jedi. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, it is going to be cool. Here's my lightsaber, and here are my powers, and here's all this other stuff. I didn't have to unnecessarily hide this at all.
That's kind of his style too, though. Like, because he did Lost with JJ, and then like Watchmen was very much. It revealed everything, and then it had the ambiguous ending, but it's like a slow reveal.
But it's different when it builds
different
up
than
to
JJ.
Something satisfying, or when he actually knows what it is and is able to like breadcrumb audiences to a conclusion, as opposed to, we'll figure it out later. And then
he doesn't know what's inside the mystery box, so that's the difference.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Oh wait, never mind. He's gone back. So in August, he said he was done. Boyega said he won't return to Star Wars, so never mind.
Recast
at this
Finn.
Point, at this point, I'm cool off it. I'm good off it. I think Finn is at a good confirmation point where you can just enjoy him in other things, the games, animation. But I feel like episode 7, 9
really quick.
Are good.
I gotta go, folks. Yeah. Nice talking to you. Adios.
Bye, Jams.
Adios.
Bye, Janet.
All right.
We're about done.
Anything else to say about any of those things? Nick Dahl?
Good show.
Shut down. Cut the check.
Cut the check.
Cut the check. All right. Well, dear listener, if you like what you heard, and why wouldn't you like, rate, comment, subscribe, share? We would definitely appreciate it. Also, jump on the Discord. Let us know what you thought of Barbarian or any of the other news topics that you heard about today. Nick Dahl, where can you be found?
I'm at Geeky Nick Dahl on Twitter, and I do Marvel Multiverse Mayhem with Kyle. If you want to hear us talk about the Marvel trailers and reactions to Black Panther Wakanda Forever more in detail, that's what we're doing over there on This Week.
All right. And you can find me at Sir Jonesiest on any social media platform. And of course, right here on Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast. Folks, as always, we will catch you on the next one. Thanks to Kyle Malone on the 1s and 2s for producing this show. And we will catch you on the next one. Hasta lasagna.
Don't get any on you.